Hey, it's Sean Cooper, the shyness and social anxiety guy. Now, it seems like some people were simply born with confidence. They can walk into any social situation, they can go into any job interview or go on a date, and they seem to never sweat about it. They're never worried about running out of things to say. They can make friends easily. They get the promotions at their job because they're so sure of themselves. And you know what? Yeah, maybe some people were born with confidence. But even if you weren't born with it, I've found that there are things you can do to develop your own confidence over time so that you can also become more charismatic in conversations, more of a leader at your job. You know, people listen to you more often. You do better in your dating life or your work life and your social life. Making friends becomes a lot easier if you're confident. So in this video, I'm going to show you 13 things that confident people don't do. Number one is that confident people don't compare themselves to other people. If you're playing this comparison game, you will never win in the comparison game because no matter how good you are, there's always going to be someone richer than you or better looking than you or prettier than you who's going to make you feel like shit if you're comparing yourself. So, for example, if you're fat, you might compare yourself to someone who's average shape. If you're average, you might compare yourself to someone who's skinny. If you're skinny, you might compare yourself to someone who works out all the time and has muscles. If you have muscles, you might compare yourself to a professional bodybuilder. And I've met guys who are into bodybuilding, and you know who they compare themselves to? They're heroes, obviously. They compare themselves to guys like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And you know what? Even if you're Arnold Schwarzenegger, you still aren't going to win if you're playing the comparison game. Because even Arnold Schwarzenegger could compare himself to the Hulk or some other imaginary ideal in his head of what he should look like. In fact, if you look at modern magazines, a lot of women compare themselves to the women on the cover of these magazines. And nowadays, that's not even really a real person anymore. It starts off as a real person, but then you add on a team of makeup artists, a team of professional photographers, a team of lighting people, a team of people who know how to use Photoshop to touch up every little wrinkle and every little fold in the skin. So by the end, that magazine cover isn't even a real person. It's an imaginary ideal. So you're never going to win if you compare yourself to other people. There's always people who are going to be doing better than you. So instead, you should compare yourself to your own best and focus on improving that. The second thing that confident people don't do is they don't judge themselves. Back when I had really bad social anxiety, I remember if I said something that was a little bit awkward or even sounded a little bit stupid, I would instantly be so harsh on myself. Like in my head, I would think, stupid, why did I say that? And as a result, guess what happened? I just talked even less often because whenever I thought of something to say, I would think, does that sound good? Nah, probably not. No, I'm not going to say it. In fact, people who have anxiety judge themselves very often for feeling nervous and not 100% confident all the time. Have you ever had like a job interview or you had to make a speech in front of people and you start to feel nervous and it's like you were trying to force yourself to not feel nervous? You're trying to bottle in those feelings? Well, guess what? Everyone feels anxious and nervous sometimes. It's a part of being human. And it's only human to have these types of emotions to mess up every so often. Imagine if there was a little child and that little child said something that was a little bit awkward or that little child felt nervous. Would you judge that child to their face and call them stupid or tell them that they shouldn't feel nervous, they should be confident, they must be this way? Probably not. We're often very compassionate and empathetic towards other people, but rarely do we show empathy towards yourself. So the more you can work on doing that, the less you're going to be judging yourself, and over time, your confidence is actually going to improve a lot. Now, the third thing that confident people don't do is they don't dwell on the past. Back when I had really bad social anxiety, if something embarrassing happened to me, I would delusionally think that other people were thinking about this situation for weeks and months after. Well, guess what? Everyone is like you. People are self-absorbed and self-obsessed. You're like this, and everyone else is like this too. They're not thinking about you. Think about how much time you probably spent buying whatever shoes you have or picking out your clothes that you're going to wear, all to create a certain impression on other people. Now, think about the people that you talk to today. Do you know what shirt they were wearing? Did you notice what shoes they were wearing? It's not very likely. Everyone is like this. Our society conditions us to be self-absorbed, and that should liberate you, because other people are not spending their days laughing at how you embarrass yourself like months and months ago. So confident people don't dwell on the past. They live more in the present, and they plan for the future. Now, the fourth thing that confident people don't do is they don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. Often, when someone has problems in your life, like feeling lonely or lacking friends or not getting what you want out of your career or your social life or dating life, it feels good actually to feel miserable. And so what people tend to do is they build comfortable prisons for yourself. You find the misery to be familiar, and to let go of feeling sorry for yourself means that you would have to start to take more responsibility for your life. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that everyone was born into great situation in life. The reality is that life is not always easy or fair, but to make new progress in your life, you do have to let go of that old story that you might be holding on to. I remember there's an author called Eckhart Tolle, and he teaches people how to be happy. And I remember him mentioning in one of his talks how people often come to him angrily defending their right to be miserable. So when you feel sorry for yourself, that's what you're doing. So you can either have your story of why it's not your fault, or you can let go of it and start getting what you want out of life. The fifth thing that confident people don't do is passively wait for your life to improve. I coach people how to overcome shyness and social anxiety, and sometimes they ask me questions like, why don't people invite me out? Why doesn't someone come and ask me for a date? See, so they're waiting for other people to start acting differently, or they're waiting for their life circumstance to start acting differently. There's not going to be some magic situation that falls into your lap where suddenly fixes some big problem in your life. If you keep doing what you've always been doing, you'll keep getting what you've always been getting. So instead of passively waiting for some outside thing to improve that you have no control over, the one thing you do have control over is your own actions. So that's what you should focus all of your attention on. My dad loves to complain about how the government is raising taxes and keeping small business owners down. He has a small business. But here's what I tell him. Even if the government increases taxes by 1 or 2% this year, it's not something you have any control over. So even if it's bad, what's the use of even spending a minute thinking about it? What he does have control over is how to structure the business and try to grow the business by increasing his education, his knowledge, right? It's the same in any area of life where you want to improve your results. Focus on what you can control. Now, the sixth thing that confident people don't do is shy away from change. From my observation, it feels like human beings are wired to seek out short term comfort. We like routine, we like stability, we like things to stay the same, which is why you see people, for example, staying in the same job for 40 years. And I've met so many people who don't like where they live, they don't like their job, they're not fulfilled there, but because it's comfortable, they'll choose to stay there instead of trying to maybe find a more fulfilling or happy job somewhere else. Now, the problem is that the world that we're living in is changing faster and faster. 200 years ago, pretty much nobody had electricity. 100 years ago, pretty much nobody had cars. 20 years ago, Google didn't even exist. And 5 years ago, cell phones weren't nearly as popular. More people use cell phones this year to browse the internet than they do computers. And scientists say that this change is going to continue to keep going faster and faster. In fact, over the past 20 years, whole industries have collapsed, right? America moved from manufacturing type of economy into a knowledge and information type of economy. So the people who thrive in this environment in our modern time are the people who are able to adapt to change the best. The seventh thing that confident people don't do is avoid taking calculated risks. So, for example, I recently went to travel in South America for 3.5 months. So basically, I loaded up a backpack and then I landed in Colombia with a guidebook, a phrase book, but I didn't know anyone there. I didn't speak the language, and I still didn't have a completely concrete plan of where I was gonna go. But you know what? I took a calculated risk and I made it up as I went along, basically. So travel is one type of calculated risk that you can take. By testing yourself in new, different, unknown situations, you start to develop a deep knowledge that you can survive and handle many different types of situations. So what happens to people who take smart risks is they become more confident in their own abilities. On the other hand, people who avoid taking any type of risks, they always stay in their comfort zone, they're teaching themselves that they can't handle new situations. And as a result, your life starts to become narrower and narrower as your comfort zone basically closes in around you. So number 8 is confident people don't view failure as the end of the world. When you're very deeply affected by failure, it can cause you to not even try. So you don't fail, but you're never, ever gonna get even a single chance of succeeding. J.K. Rowling, who was the author of the Harry Potter series, she started out as a single mom on welfare. And when she first was trying to get Harry Potter published, she was rejected 13 times by publishers. 13 times. And even when she was published, they told her that she'd better get a day job because she probably wouldn't ever make any money as a writer. And now Harry Potter has become one of the most popular series of all time. So instead of viewing failure as like a mark on your soul, I have failed, instead you should view it as feedback. What can you improve, right? Let's say you go talk to someone you find attractive and they don't like you. You could say, what could I improve about my approach, about myself? People who are confident take failure as feedback and they use it to improve their future behavior. The 9th thing that confident people don't do is live by other people's standards. Look, everyone has a different idea for what living a good or proper life should be. And as you're growing up, it seems like everyone is trying to twist and mold you into a certain pattern. And it can be hard to resist, getting influenced by all these different influences. Your parents might want you to get an education in something very stable but that you might find boring, because their agenda is to have you be stable so you're not living at their house for the rest of your life. Your teachers might give you a certain path to follow that basically is what they did, right? Go to university, get a job. That's what the teacher did. That's what they know. That's what they tell the kids to do. Society is going to tell you to do something that improves social stability. So if you want to do something unconventional, if you want to live a more creative life, a lot of society is going to tell you not to do that. Confident people decide on their own rules for what success means in life, and then they live by it. This doesn't mean that you should ignore when other people are giving you advice, like your parents, your teachers, society. You just have to understand that other people have an agenda for you, which might not be what you really want. Absorb other people's advice and take a look at it with your own critical eye and choose which to follow. Number 10 is confident people don't give away their power. Have you ever felt like other people often are able to make you feel obligated to do things for them, or other people seem to be able to make you feel bad? If this happens to you very often, it could be a sign that you're giving away your power. You're handing your own mental well-being and your control over your actions to other people. And confident people, their view on life is that nobody can make them feel a certain way or do something, control their actions without their own permissions. Number 11 is confident people don't try to please everyone. They're able to say no to people because they can handle someone being upset. When I made the decision to drop out of university, I was studying a program that I really didn't enjoy at the time, so I decided to drop it, and my parents were very upset about this. But by making that decision and not trying to please everybody, knowing what's right for me, I was able to build my confidence from that decision. When you start making your own decisions in life and not giving away your power, you have to expect that some people are going to be upset with you. And often that's because they're losing their control over you. So if you can't handle their emotional reactions, then you're not going to be in control of your life. So confident people don't try to please everybody. Now, number 12 is confident people don't avoid rejection. The reason why people seem to be scared of rejection, in my opinion, is because when you get rejected, maybe you get rejected, you ask someone for a date, or you apply for a job, or you want to be someone's friend, and they don't say yes. And the reason why people hate that feeling is because they assume that rejection means that there's something wrong with you. I remember when I was in high school, one of my teachers said that the best job interview advice she ever got was to walk into the job interview with the intention of finding out if this company is a good fit for you. So instead of walking into a job interview, being desperate to impress the interviewer, you're walking in there and you're not completely sold yet on if this company is the right fit for you. And as a result, because you're not trying to perform, you end up feeling a lot more relaxed. It makes you a lot more confident. So try to keep this in mind whenever you find yourself being scared of rejection. It's not just about whether they like you, it's also about whether you like them and whether you two have chemistry or compatibility. Many people who have shyness or social anxiety, they're so busy trying to get everybody to like them and everyone to approve of you that you completely forget that not everyone is meant to be each other's friend. Okay, so the last one, number 13, is confident people don't demand perfection of themselves. So while you were watching this video, you might have thought, yeah, it sounds okay, but do I really want to be some like stoic robot who never feels any emotions and never is an actual human being? Well, the answer is no. I for sure don't live all these tips all the time. But what I've found is that the more often I'm able to not do these things that I've laid out in this video, the more confident that I've found myself to become. The easier it's been to be more social, to be more outgoing, to talk to people, to get what I want in my dating life, my social life, my career life. So the idea is not to become some perfect ideal of what I've talked about. It's just to move closer toward these goals over time. But I promise you, if you do follow the advice, you can definitely get more of what you want out of life and become a lot more confident like you want to be. And I just want to give some credit. The inspiration for this video came from an article by Amy Morin, and I'll link to that article below this video. All right, so I'm Sean Cooper, the shyness and social anxiety guy, and I'll talk to you soon.